For today's video on how to make this sunflower wind spinner, the supplies we are going to need is a 4.5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and then today I'm just going to do two colors, and it is this leftover brown acrylic as well as a yellow, and this is actually called banana yellow. Okay, so get your supplies together and we'll make this wind spinner together. Okay, so to start our wind spinner, we're going to make a slip knot and place that onto our hook. And then this pattern is quite forgivable, so if you want to make a shorter wind spinner, I normally do 60 chains. And then if I make a medium-sized one, I normally do 80. And then if you want to make a longer one, I have gone to 100 and even 120 chains. So really it depends on the length that you want. Now when you make your chain, don't forget that it is going to spiral. So your chain length is going to be shorter in the long run, just to make that spiral, okay? So just for the sake of this video, I'm going to do 60 chains. But like I said, you can do 60, 80, 90, over 100, however many you want, okay? So it's really up to you. So just make your chain, and then we will meet back here once we all have the choice of size that we would like for our wind spinner, okay? So the longer, don't forget, if you're attaching it to a tree, windy days, it can get caught in the branches if it's super windy. So just keep that in mind, okay? I'm going to put mine on the inside of my patio, actually. So it's only going to spin when I either have the windows or the door open. So that's why I'm going to just make this one a nice short one for the sake of the video, okay? So do your chains and I will meet you back here. Okay, so I have about 60 chains here. This is my chain here. So then what we're going to do when we're done chaining is we are going to single crochet into the second chain from our hook, okay? So single crochet. That's insert your hook, yarn over, you got 2 on your hook, yarn over and go through both. Again, insert your hook, bring out the yarn, yarn over and go through both loops. That's a single crochet, okay? So we're just going to repeat this all the way down our chain now. Is just keep single crocheting until you've reached the end, and then you can meet me back here again, okay? Okay, so I just finished my row of single crochet back to the beginning here. And if you wanted to change your color now, if you wanted to do more than 2 colors, today I'm only going to do 2, so I'm going to leave my brown attached. But you just pull out your hook just like so, bring up a little bit of yarn like that, and then pop in your new color and cut off the brown, or whatever color was your first initial color, okay? So after you're done doing that, let me put my hook back on here. Okay, so what we're going to do is chain 2 and turn our work, okay? And like I said, this now is where you would start your new color if you're switching, okay? So what we're going to do is do a double crochet right into where we just put those chains. So into that very first stitch, we're going to do a double crochet, and that's yarn over, put your hook in and pull out some yarn. And you should have 3 on your hook. Now pull some more yarn and go through the first 2. Pull up some more yarn and go through the next 2. Okay, so that was 1. Now the chaining that we did counted as 1 double crochet as well. So technically we have 2 double crochet into that first stitch now. Okay, so what we're going to do is work into the next stitch, and we are going to make 2 double crochet into that next stitch, okay? So yarn over, insert your hook, pull out that yarn. You should have 3 on your hook. Pull up yarn and go through the first 2. Pull up yarn and go through the next 2. That was 1 in that stitch. We want 2, so do the same exact thing. Yarn over and go through, pull up the yarn and go through the first 2, pull up the yarn and go through the next 2. Okay, so that was 2 double crochet into that stitch. Now you're going to go into the next stitch and do the same thing, double crochet 2 times into that same stitch, okay? So as you see, this is a super easy pattern. As long as you know your stitches, you're just going to double crochet twice for this entire row into each stitch, okay? So continue on until the end and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I finished my row of 2 double crochet in each. So I am done with this color. I'm just going to snip this off and put that to the side then. Pull up my yarn just a little bit and get my next color going here, which will be my yellow. Okay, just attach that to my project here. Okay, so now for the third row here, we are going to chain 2 again. So 1 and 2. And then we're going to do the same thing. So we are going to do 2 double crochet into this stitch that we just put the 2 chains in. That was 1 and 2. And then same like the previous row, that chain 2 acted as if it was a double crochet. So technically now we have 3 double crochet into that first stitch. So now into the next stitch, we're going to place 3 double crochet. That's 1, 2, and 3. And into the next stitch, we're going to place 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3, and we are just going to repeat this straight down the row, 3 double crochet into each stitch. And as you see, the last row, it really started spinning on its own, so it's just going to keep doing that, okay? So finish that row with 3 double crochet in each, and I will meet you back here. Okay guys, so I just finished up the end of my, what would be my yellow row, but the third row, depending on what color you have. So just take out your hook, and we are done with this section of the wind spinner. Now you're going to leave a pretty long tail, cut off probably a good foot length, and that is what you are going to attach it to a hook or however you're going to hang it, okay? And then just make a knot in that so that that stays all closed up, okay? So now you have a nice long tail. If you wanted to, you could make chains out of this, and it just adds a little more strength, and then kind of looks more put together. But just for video purposes, I'm just going to leave it like so, just because I'm going to put this onto my enclosed porch, like I said, so it doesn't need a super amount of strength. So now you just go through, and I'll start from the top here where we have our little hanging section of our yarn to hook them up onto something, and you're just going to untangle it like so. And you just kind of roll it up like this, just so when you put it outside or wherever you're going to hang it, it's all, there's no kinks in it, okay? So just from crocheting it and making it like that, it does kink itself sometimes. Kind of like the old school telephone cords, you know? Although those seem to be harder to get out than this, so we're doing okay here. Now we will start on our sunflower. Like I said, if you wanted to leave the wind spinner just how you had it, you can do that. Otherwise, you could also put a tassel on the bottom of it. That's really cute as well. Or attach some beads. But for the month of May, my goal was to make a video on every Wednesday about flowers. So that's why we're going to do the sunflower today and attach that to our wind spinner, okay? So we're going to make a slip knot and then place that onto our hook. And then we are going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to go back into our first chain here that we made and just make a slip stitch. So insert your hook, grab that yarn, and pull it on through both of them, okay? To create a ring. If you wanted to do the magic ring here, you can, but me and the magic ring do not get along, okay? So after you did that, we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And then into our magic ring, we are going to make 16 double crochet. So that's yarn over, go into the ring, pull up that yarn. You should have 3 on your hook. Pull up the yarn and go through 2, and pull up your yarn and go through the next 2. That chain space that we made does not count, so that was our first double crochet, okay? So we want a total of 16. We have 15 more to go. So a total of 16 into your ring. Once you finish that, meet me back here and we will close this part up, okay? Okay, so I got my 16 double crochet into my ring here, and we are just going to look for that first double crochet top that we made and just slip stitch that together, okay? So there we have the inside of our sunflower. Now we are going to cut these off, and I am going to start on my yellow. Okay, so now I have my yellow yarn. I did go through and cut off my ends of my brown, and then I sewed those in, okay? So to start, you just go into any of these top chains of your inside of your sunflower of the brown color, and just pull that new yarn on through. And then I chain 1 just to attach it to our project, okay? I do that with both the strands of yarn. You don't have to, I do though. And then I drop that non-working yarn after I'm done with that, okay? So to start, we are going to go into the next chain space, okay? So we're done working with that one right now. So what we're going to do is put 1 double crochet into that next one, okay? Then after you have your double crochet, you are going to put 1 triple crochet. So yarn over, and go right into that same space that we just put the double crochet. So you should have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and go through the first 2. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Yarn over and go through those last 2. Okay, that's a triple. Now we are going to chain 2, 1 and 2. Okay, after your chain 2, we're going to work into the top of both of that double crochet and the triple crochet. And we're just going to make a slip stitch into both of those. Okay, so just like that, slip stitch it right on through. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Okay, so now we're going to make another triple crochet right into that same stitch. So that's yarn over, pull that yarn through the first 2, pull the yarn through the next 2, and then pull the yarn through the last 2. And then we are going to make another double crochet into the same space. Okay. Now we are going to go into the next stitch and do a slip stitch. So this is our first petal that we have, okay? And that top that we did is technically called, with the chain 2 and then the slip stitch, that is called a picot stitch, okay? I don't think we've done that one before on our videos. Maybe we have once. Okay, so now that we slip stitch into the next stitch, we are just going to start the repeat all over again, okay? Okay, so I'll do that again with you. After you had made your slip stitch into this next chain, we're going to be working all into that same chain, just repeating what we just did, okay? So we start out with a double crochet. Okay. And then we do our triple crochet. And then we chain 2. Now you go back and find the tops of those that we just did and just slip stitch into those to make your picot. Okay? Then we go back in with 1 triple crochet into the same space. And then we follow through that with a double crochet. And that completed our next petal. So you just go into that next stitch and do a slip stitch. And then you're just going to start where you made that slip stitch now. That is going to be our next petal space, and just do the same exact thing. So you're going to do a double crochet, 1 triple crochet, chain your 2 and make that slip stitch to do the picot, and then another triple crochet, a double crochet, and then you slip stitch into the following chain. Okay, so do that all the way around. If you needed extra help, just rewind your video a little bit and follow through. Okay, so I just finished my last petal here, and what we're going to do is go into that next stitch where we just began, and we are just going to make a slip stitch to connect that all. Okay, so now I'm going to pull out a decent amount of yarn off the project and cut that and get rid of my extra yarn here. And I'm just going to pull that through to secure it closed. Okay, so there we have our sunflower. Now I'm going to bring my wind spinner back out here. And we got the top here with our little loop to hang it up with. And all I'm going to do is take our sunflower and our crochet hook, and I'm just going to go to the very last chain at the bottom of our wind spinner and pull that yarn on through that we left attached to our sunflower. And I'm just going to make a knot around where we just attached it to. This can be a little fumbly, but once it's attached good. And then I just take my darning needle and put that yarn onto the needle. And I'm just going to weave it on through some of those yellow stitches just to blend it in. and go back and forth with it a few times. And I'm going to cut off that extra yarn, and we are finished with our wind spinner. So I hope you like this project. Like I said, there's different ways you can do it with the sunflower. You can do the beads, like I said, or a different flower, even a rainbow at the bottom. It doesn't matter. So make up a bunch of these. They're perfect for gifts or hanging around your place. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you.